Yo, what is good, people? Welcome back to another episode of the F1 2022 My Team series here on the channel. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 1k, nearly there. Can we try and hit it by the end of the year? If you are a returning viewer, make sure you smash the like button. If you are not up to date with the series so far, we're like just over halfway through the season now, coming towards the back end of it. Make sure you go and check out the playlist on the channel, get yourself up to date with the season so far. There's been some great races and some stinkers, so it's a very entertaining series so far in season 1. Just showing our R&D in progress right now. We have 2 downforce upgrades, one on the front, one on the rear. They should come in before the Singapore Grand Prix. We also have a weight reduction upgrade, which is not due to come in until, of course, after this race today here in Monza, home of Ferrari. It's our engine supplier's home race. Of course, we have that Ferrari engine in the car, so hopefully we can put on a show for the Ferrari fans. Obviously, they'll be rooting for their own team, but we are a Ferrari-powered team. So coming into Monza, very speed-determined circuit. Our setup was something like, I think for the front wing I had 0 on the setup, and the rear wing was on 3, just to give us a bit of grip coming through corners. But let's get into this lap and see if we do have any speed. Braking just before the 100-meter board down into the chicane for turn 1. Very tricky, because if you touch those orange curbs, you lose so much grip and time as we touch that orange curb on the turn 2. Coming out of the chicane, lose a slight bit of grip and time there, but still up in the delta. We took turn 1 very nicely indeed. Down into the next chicane now. Like I say, very fast circuit in Monza, breaking at the 100-meter board, avoiding the yellow curbs again, trying to get on the throttle as early as possible, pushing as wide as we can on the exit of that corner there, staying in 6th gear, dropping into 4th for extra rotation around this corner, pushing wide on the exit on that curb, braking again just after the 50, and then throwing the car into that corner, into the DRS zone, down a quite long straight. As we get down into another chicane. Monza is literally just straights and chicanes. Into another chicane, braking just after the 100, taking a lot of curb on entry. Watch out for those like bouncy curbs in the middle. There's a lot of bumpy curbs there in the middle of like the normal curbs, so watch out for them because they will unsettle the car. But coming out to that one turn left in the lap, down into the parabolica, braking about 50, and just nice throttle control to get the car rotated through there. We lose about 2 tenths in the last few corners of that lap. Sector 3 was a stinker, but we still improve on our time in the delta. Let's check out where that puts us in the standings. It's going to be P20 for this race in Monza. Very tricky one, as we've discussed a lot of races this season. The AI have so much straight line speed, it's ridiculous. Our car does not have barely any straight line speed. We do out-qualify our teammate though, but look at the gap there to P16 Zhou Guanyu. The gap is 6.5 tenths, or just 6 tenths actually. Crazy gap, but let's get to the race, see if we can improve or do anything here with this lack of straight line speed.
We're back in Italy once again for another round of the Formula 1 World Championship. And what a great race is in store for us today, here at the oldest circuit on the calendar, which hosted its first race all the way back in 1922. With top speeds up to 215 and an average lap speed of around 155 miles per hour, Monza's reputation as one of the fastest circuits in the sport is well earned. We have 11 corners on this 3.6-mile track, with the best overtaking chance coming into the heavy braking zone of the Turn 1 chicane. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position. Sergio Perez lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Sainz, George Russell and Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, Hamilton. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Sebastian Vettel, Norris, Bottas, Nicholas Latifi, the owner driver, Magnussen, they've taken a grid penalty, Stroll, Guan Yu Zhou and Esteban Ocon. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Tictum, Albon, Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. So, let's briefly discuss Lewis Hamilton. Looks like they have a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
There we go then, people. A lot of grid penalties. We're getting to that silly part of the season now where all the AI are taking grid penalties. We're getting new engine components in. We're actually starting P14 in this race when we qualified P20. Absolutely crazy. Nicholas Latifi up alongside us there in P13, and it is lights out and away we go. A slow start. You see a lot of wheel spin off the line there. We've already been overtaken by Kevin Magnussen on the run down to turn 1. Just going to cover that inside so the Aston Martin can't send one on us. And down into turn 1 now. Kevin Magnussen on the left there. We fully send it. Just come off the brakes and just let the car coast in to turn 1 there and hope everyone gets out the way. We made a bit of contact, I think, with Sebastian Vettel. Someone's front wing came off as well. I don't know who that was, but we are up now into P12 behind Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris. They're going too wide towards the next chicane, and we're going to try and set them up into the braking zone here. I pull the car to the inside, and look at that, Hamilton and Norris go to cover the inside, or the outside there I should say, so then we can send it up the inside into that chicane, and that's a fantastic double overtake. I was absolutely made up with that move there to dummy to the outside into the chicane. Hamilton and Norris ever so slightly move to the right, so then we can send one up the inside into the chicane. And now we're up into the points already on lap 1, up into P10. Obviously a very fast set of cars behind us, and we shouldn't even be here. Here comes Lando Norris. He's not even looking to make a move into the chicane. We've got to take a compromised line here, slow down a lot to get the car through there, but at least Lando didn't overtake us. And now Hamilton has overtaken Lando, but obviously that Mercedes is a lot faster than us, and so is the McLaren. And just look at this straight line speed here from a few of the guys from behind. There's also one of the Haas cars getting involved. Through the parabolica we come now, and we are still ahead in P10. As soon as that DRS gets activated though, we are going to be under serious threat. George Russell into the pits here, so we gain a place. We're up into P9. George Russell must have been the guy to take front wing damage. It did look like it was the end plate of one of the Alfa Romeos though, so that's weird that it was George Russell into the pits. But there goes Lando Norris up the inside into turn 1. Can we go too wide through turn 2? Yes we can. Unlike a certain 7-time world champion and 1-time world champion in Monza, we actually went through turn 1 and turn 2 too wide. Who'd have thought it? And nobody ended up in the gravel or on top of our car. But Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton now. Lewis Hamilton, the man involved in said incident, he's battling with Norris behind us still. They're costing each other time going too wide through the chicanes, and hopefully that can keep up, because then we can just keep putting in a gap to those cars behind, and they won't be able to catch us again. So especially through turn 1, if you go too wide through turn 1 and 2, it's very slow on the exit, and those cars can really hold each other up. But just look at the speed these cars have compared to us. We are running literally one of the lowest downforce setups you could ever do on the game, just to give us more straight line speed, but it's still not good enough to hold off the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. He goes towards the parabolica now, and there's a yellow flag come out there. But was Lewis Hamilton ahead before the yellow flag? And there's still a yellow flag flashing ahead. Was Hamilton ahead there before the yellow flag? Should we have that position back? Obviously you can't overtake when there's a yellow flag. Let's find out. So if you look to the right where that board is, where the advertisement board is, you can see the yellow flag come out. So we're going to slow it down here, and yeah, if you follow the advertisement board just right at the end next to the trees, you can see the yellow flag come out. Hamilton's front left wheel clearly ahead of ours as that yellow flag comes out, so Hamilton was ahead, so we do let Hamilton keep that place behind the yellow flag, because obviously the game doesn't actually enforce that. That's just racing from me. I wanted to make it fair. And that's going to be Sebastian Vettel out of this race with engine failure. So we're actually going to overtake Vettel. But there goes Lando Norris round the outside, overtaking us during a yellow flag and off the track. That's a double foul. That's 2 yellow cards, ref. Send them off. He shouldn't do that. But now down into turn 1, we're going to be too wide with Lando Norris. Can we send one on Hamilton? No, we're way too far back for that. But through. Now it's a reverse of what happened with me and Lando the lap before. We compromised Lando's line this time again. And now Bottas has taken Lando. Now we're trying to catch up to Hamilton, who's putting in a significant gap already. I told you going through turn 1 and 2 too wide cost so much time. Put in 8 tenths to Hamilton. Absolutely crazy. But Lando there overtaking us during the yellow flag, and we completely miss our braking zone. Have to cut a corner, get a warning for that one more time, and we will get a 3-second penalty if we do that again. But I just completely misjudged the braking zone, trying to send one on Hamilton. Lucky to not pick up any damage to the under tray of the car there, bouncing over those big curbs. The floor, especially in F1 2022 cars, that's where a lot of the performance is generated from. So if you take damage to the under tray and the floor, then you are screwed really with these cars. So not what we want to see. But luckily we got away scot-free, ironically. So trying to catch up to Hamilton. Now DRS is enabled on lap 3, of course. We will be in DRS range, using a lot of battery charge there. To try and stay within that DRS range, the line is just at the braking zone for the parabolica. So then we do have that DRS, but Lando, or not Lando, sorry, Bottas is behind us in P10. He will have DRS on us. Is it going to be significant enough to make an impact? 7/10 the gap to Hamilton as we open that rear wing slot to try and catch him, use a bit of battery too, to try and close that gap. Bottas making up more time to us than we did to Hamilton though, so that is unfortunate to see. Coming through Lesmo 2 now, Bottas right on our tail again. Here's another DRS zone. Bottas, he's going to have that rear wing open, and then down into the next chicane. He's going to be miles ahead already into the braking zone. Can we have a look up the inside? No, too far back to send a dive bomb, and we understeer slightly coming through that corner there. That allows Lando to catch up. And now Lando's right on our gearbox. He's going to have DRS for the next lap. We're using a lot of battery ourselves to try and catch up to Bottas to get that DRS range again for ourselves. But coming through now, you can see Hamilton there, a significant gap ahead now to Bottas. 1.4 seconds ahead of his ex-teammate. Now Lando right on our gearbox. He pulls out. We're going to be too wide down the straight again. We've seen this for the last few laps already. Down into turn 1. We have the outside for turn 1, but it means the inside for turn 2. So can we push Lando wide? Coming through turn 2, yes we can. We do get in the grass though, in the gravel there, and that is going to slow us down on exit. Lando's going to have a great run down into the next chicane, and you can see he pulls out, but we're trying to keep him behind as we head towards this next zone. Bottas now putting in that gap. You see how far ahead he is as we try and battle with Lando Norris to keep this place. Lando doesn't try and send one into the chicane, so he managed to survive for another, I was going to say another lap, but at least another portion of the lap, because here's the end of the lap now. And very tactical from me, I lift off the throttle completely. Did you see that? I lifted off the throttle completely. Lando went ahead of us into the DRS detection zone, which means we will have DRS on Lando. Very tactical move from me to lift off the throttle completely there, because I think Lando wouldn't have overtaken us before we got to that point. So we do lift off, and you see there we've got the DRS open, and look at that boost in pace it gives us compared to Lando, and we are safe for this lap going through turn 1 and 2 again. A very tactical move. I love doing moves like that when it just comes to you on the fly while you're racing. Just very clever if I do say so myself. A basic move, but it is very clever. And here we go though, into a DRS zone. No defense from us on Lando Norris here. We're struggling for tyres. We couldn't keep pushing these medium tyres every single lap. We've literally had 6 laps here of straight hard racing. And yeah, the tyres just won't last if we keep pushing them like that. I decided to save some of the battery as well for the next straight, because I thought if we don't use battery to defend here, we can charge it up, get DRS at the end of the parabolica, and then down the main straight use that DRS plus like 70% of battery to try and push on Lando. But coming through, just look at the straight line speed difference. It is absolutely crazy how fast these cars are in a straight line. And I don't know if it's just because our cars are upgraded or if it's a glitch in the game, because a lot of people have been speaking about a glitch with the AI ridiculously fast. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We haven't really focused on speed upgrades. You know, we've been focusing more on that ERS as well as downforce, not really on the drag reduction or the engine power. But getting to lap 9 now, we're just outside the points here in lap 11, or lap 9, sorry, in P11.
There appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
And that is not a good message to hear from the engineers every time we hear it. We've had it in a few times this season already. Last time out, it was a break in the ERS system, so we couldn't use ERS. Another time, it was the fuel. So I'm flicking through the MFD, checking the engine components, checking the fuel, seeing what might be broken here, if we can get any sort of inkling of what is going on with the car, if it was going to cost us performance. We're losing time to Zhou behind us already.
Okay, looks like a mechanical failure. We're going to have to ask you to find a safe spot to retire. Sorry about that, mate.
And there is going to be engine failure, boys. It's an absolute stinker. You hate to see it. We're currently in P11. Had a chance to finish in the points if something happened, like a safety car or just a good strategy pit stop. I don't know, but points was definitely on the cards. And in our home engine suppliers home race, Ferrari, our engine blows up. So nice one, Ferrari. You love to see it. Definitely not going with the Ferrari engine for next year. We've had so many problems with that engine so far this season. It's not good, bro. It is not good. Season 2, we're definitely getting rid of this Ferrari engine. Speaking of Ferrari, at least they got some W out of this race, because they have won the race and came P3, a double Ferrari podium at their home race. So shout out to all the Ferrari fans, because I mean, yeah, just it is what it is, man. We don't really care about Ferrari because Charles Leclerc has just been killing it this season on the game, not real life. He's a fraud. You hear the here first. And yeah, so Leclerc, I don't know when he's going to win the championship. on our game because I feel like he should have won it mathematically already. We'll check the standings, obviously, after we see the final results. But he's something like 150 points ahead of Verstappen. I'm like, that's absolutely crazy. Even if he DNFs every race and Verstappen wins, he still can't win, surely. I don't know. I don't know the maths. I think that might be Verstappen in P2 there as well, was it? On the podium? It sure was. MV1 on P2 on the podium, splitting the two Ferraris at their home Grand Prix. So maybe that gave Max a bit of an advantage to close the gap. Obviously, he still lost points to Leclerc, but it wasn't enough to win Leclerc the title. Imagine Leclerc winning the title in Monza in his home, or the team's home race. Imagine winning the title in Monza full stop. That's ridiculously early to win the title. Lewis Hamilton finishing the race in P5, Valtteri Bottas in P6, and Lando Norris in P7. All the cars we were racing with finished in the top 5, 6, 7. That is crazy. We could have been P8 behind Lando, depending if how the race went for the rest of it, and if we've actually finished the race. Dan Tickton finishing P20. That guy stinks. I can't believe we actually picked that guy up. I did it for the culture, and he stinks. Ferrari 150 points ahead of, or 162 ahead of Red Bull. We're currently still sat in P9 in the constructors and P16 in the driver standings. We get that chassis upgrade coming through there. I don't know if you've seen that. So our chassis has had a major upgrade to it for the next race. We are still dead last in the standings though, in the team standings, but we do have 2,300 points to buy another upgrade, which won't come through until just before Suzuka, the Japanese Grand Prix. We go ahead and pick up a major weight redistribution upgrade. We need to focus on this chassis because the car stinks. Yeah, like look at the vehicle comparison chart there. The chassis absolutely reeks. So we're checking out the aerodynamic department. We've got 1,200 points left to get another upgrade. We decided to focus again on that ERS. It's really helped us in the races, developing that ERS, and this is a major upgrade, which means you get more of a bonus from it. So we go ahead and do that. We'll get that before Suzuka if all goes to plan. Our ICE was shown where in that race we got a message to say there was a loss of power before we even had to retire. I didn't show that in the race though. So we're going to take a new ICE for the end of the season. We also have to take a new energy store, which means double engine penalty for Singapore, which means we're probably going to start from the back of the grid, which is a stinker, especially in Singapore street circuits. But I'm expecting big things from Singapore. If it rains, it's crazy. If there's crashes, which are highly likely in Singapore, safety cars strategy is going to come into play. Really looking forward to getting into the Singapore race. You will see it on Monday if you stay tuned on the channel. And there's our first upgrade of the season failed, I think. Is that our first one that's failed? It's our aerodynamics department, and it's going to be that front downforce upgrade. Speaking of Singapore, absolutely wounding to see that front downforce upgrade does not come in before the Singapore Grand Prix. We go ahead and cancel the ERS upgrade as well, which we were about to get before Suzuka, to put on to redo that front downforce upgrade before Suzuka, because I just want the downforce on the car. Here we go. We get the rear downforce upgrade though. That is what we like to see, and then we just go ahead and skip that BS that they want us to do before the races because we don't want to do it. Still dead last in the vehicle comparison chart by a significant mile. I will say we do have some more resource points, so we're going to go ahead and redo the energy recovery upgrade, which we won't get until 3 races time, which is crazy. But the races are coming thick and fast. We've only got 2 weeks left, I think, in this season, because there's only 6 races left, I do believe. Is that correct, maths? It is. There's only 2 weeks left in this season, so we will be starting season 2 very shortly on the channel. Make sure you stay tuned, like, comment, share, and subscribe. You know the vibes. I'll catch us next time. Take it easy.